Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I have to just tell you, I am very excited. This has been an excellent conference and a wonderful audience that I've gotten to know over the last couple of days. So I'm thrilled to tell you about Synota. Synota is building the transactive energy solution for an abundant energy future. And what I really mean by that is we are building software that is going to enable energy that is affordable to be accessible to everybody on the planet. Now, while I am leading a Bitcoin technology company today, I am an energy guy. I've worked in the energy industry my entire life. First, on the academic side, researching problems that covered sort of the gamut of what was new and pressing in the day. And I went from researching methane emissions and the sources of them to working for one of the companies that was producing methane, and which began sort of the second phase of my energy career, working in upstream oil and gas, working in retail energy and solar, and then most recently working for a regulated public utility. Now, one thing you should know about Synota, which I've co-founded with Lisa Scott and Alan Schroeder, is the three of us have all worked in energy our entire lives. We've worked in the front office, we've worked in the back office, we've been in operations, and we've seen the whole value chain for energy. The thing that really stands out when you've been in energy long enough is you start to see things that don't make sense, and you see these disconnects that are present, and there's nothing being done to fix them. I'll give 3 examples. So whenever I'm talking about this, I tell people to look at their energy bills. And so now, look at your May energy bill when it comes from your utility. What you will see is that some of the energy you are paying for in May was energy that you consumed as far back as March. Now think about that. Imagine Starbucks. Imagine you drank coffee every day during the month of March, went to Starbucks, but you never had to pay for it. They took your name down, and then sometime in the middle of May, Starbucks sends you a bill for all the coffee you drank in March. That's how energy works. It doesn't make any sense. And the inefficiency that's associated with that creates a lot of cost that gets layered onto your bill today. In fact, 10 to 20% of your energy bill has nothing to do with bringing energy to your doorstep, to your business. It has everything to do with just taking money from your bank and moving it back up through the value chain itself. Now, I won't stop there. One of the things that really boggles my mind is the fact that there are over 125 million smart meters in the United States. They were deployed with the promise of bringing real-time pricing directly to your home. So you pay the actual cost that it took to bring that energy to your house. But today, 15 years later, only 3% of those meters are delivering that type of service directly to homes. And then possibly, or actually the biggest shame of it all, is the unrealized economic value that exists with the fact that there are billions of people today without access to reliable electricity. The challenge is that there's no private capital, and when I say no, very little, private capital that's making its way into emerging markets to invest in energy infrastructure. You have to ask why, because there is such an economic value there to be realized. So let's dive in. So going back to Economics 101, I can't think of any other way to take this really complex thing and simplify it down than just to say energy follows the traditional supply-demand curve. But what matters in energy is where you are and what time of day you're using the energy. And fundamentally, where the break exists today in the energy industry is our inability to calculate that P, that market clearing price, at your meter, where you live at that particular time of day. And then in some cases, the problem is just as simple as we can calculate it, but we can't put it on your bill. So there are things out there that are broken. And so really since the early 2000s, the Department of Energy has put a lot of focus to what they call transactive energy. And they recognize that we needed a better system for how we think about the value that's being created by energy and how it all links together. Transactive energy had these key elements of decentralizing energy markets, really driving efficiency to where it did not exist today. And so one of the things that I think is interesting is that since that time that transactive energy came to be, blockchain has emerged as the solution to bring this type of system into being. And what is really interesting is when you look at those blockchain solutions today, what they're all asking you to do is to trade energy, something that has the capacity to do work, for a token that has no connection to proof of work. So that's why we are deciding at Synota to build a transactive energy system on top of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. So what's represented here in this simple picture is the fact that you have all of the physical nodes of the energy system, and they will all be paired with their own node on the Lightning Network. And when we do this, what we're going to be able to achieve is a synchronous flow of data and payments with energy. And we'll be able to do everything the DOE has said needs to exist. Real-time price signals, real-time two-way communication so that demand and supply can modulate against each other, and of course, buying and selling without intermediaries. And because we're building on Bitcoin, without borders. Now, what is powering our transactive energy system at Synota is a decentralized settlement platform. Now, I won't go into all of the details here, because you've heard today that when you're on the Lightning Network, it's programmable. And so what we've done is we've taken our energy expertise, settling contracts, working in accounting and tax. We've taken that expertise in what the energy industry needs to see in terms of a solution, and we've applied it to the Lightning Network. And so we basically have created that smart contract functionality that we know exists in other blockchains, but we've done it in a Bitcoin native way with a security model that matches Bitcoin's. And so we're able to deliver powerful, trustless, instant contract settlement, and we're able to deliver it in a way that meets the needs of the energy industry today and tomorrow. And it's important to also emphasize that we're making it such that energy companies can interact with Bitcoin and with dollars, or some combination of both of them. And we can also make all of the information that they need to have in order to integrate with their other systems available to them in real time. So going back to some of the earlier problems I talked about, just two quick examples. Transactional efficiency is now achievable. And so in today's energy system, you have a generator who provides power to the transmission company, who provides power to the distribution company, who then ultimately delivers it to the consumer. And today what would happen is that consumer pays the distribution company, and those payments follow that typical daisy chain all the way back up to the generator and to the broker itself. With Bitcoin and the Lightning Network and the solution that Synota is building today, we are going to be able to pay everybody at the same time. So the entire value chain now gets to realize the benefit of instant settlement. And then when we think about cross-border investment, really the huge opportunity is what we can do is, or the big challenge that we're able to solve is the fact that it is difficult. If you make an investment in an emerging market, the challenge is now getting a return on that investment. And so what we can do now with our technology is we can enable investments to occur, and then for the investors, wherever they live in the world, to now earn an immediate return for those investments that they're making. Again, all enabled by Bitcoin's Lightning Network and enabled by Synota. So some big news happened in Synota's world this week, and that is we actually officially got our hands commercially, or got our product officially into the hands of a commercial customer. And this initial product is pay-as-you-go for Bitcoin miners. Why is this important? So Bitcoin miners are loved by the energy industry because they consume lots of energy and they are a large flexible load. But one of the challenges is Bitcoin miners, their core revenue is in a currency that most energy suppliers do not understand, maybe don't trust, and Bitcoin miners have proven themselves to be a credit risk on multiple occasions. So the risk profile doesn't match what the energy supplier is necessarily looking for. But Bitcoin miners have a distinct advantage. They are making the revenue daily in Bitcoin. And so what our software enables them to do, and their counterparties, is to set up a daily settlement of their energy contract, where the energy supplier can receive Bitcoin or dollars or some combination of both. And ultimately, what we're doing is we are neutralizing the credit risk that exists in this equation, simplifying everything down, bringing transparency to everybody who's in the equation. And why I think this is really important, because it's not only important for Synota to grow and to really add value immediately back into the space, but it's also an opportunity to really grow and strengthen Lightning. Because if you think about it, today of the 900 Bitcoin that get mined on a daily basis, between 50 and 75% of those are ultimately liquidated at some point to pay for expenses. But in almost every case today, that liquidation is occurring, and then those expenses are being paid via traditional ACH or wires. So what this product does is it gets Bitcoin miners off of zero. Their first transaction occurs on the Lightning Network. And I think that's really important because this is now liquidity entering the network, and it gives an opportunity to now get transaction 2, 3, and 4. And so part of how we're developing as a company is how do we get to 2, 3, and 4, but we've got to get off zero first. Now, one of the things that's been really interesting has been the emergence of really the focus around accounting and tax as we are bringing this solution to market. And this honestly is an area where we thrive from our experience. But I did want to talk about, from an energy supplier perspective, the question is always around meter to cash and what the challenges are there. On the left-hand side, you're seeing a typical accountant's world. They're very used to multiple touches of the income statement and balance sheet throughout the month, reconciliations, and ultimately not achieving final settlements often 60 or more days after energy was consumed. With Synota and the fact that we are able to instantly settle energy contracts, the accounting team can wait until 11:59 p.m., the day of month close. They push one button, and what they see is, in a month with 31 days, what they see is 31 receipts and a journal entry to cash. Instant settlement avoids having to create an invoice, avoids having to create a liability. And so when we talk to the accounting team, it's one of our favorite conversations because we say your lives are going to get much easier. And it's one of those huge advantages that we see really helping drive business adoption. So I'll conclude with the fact that there is not a person in this world that does not hope for an abundant future. Now, my message to everybody today is that that abundant future is going to be built on energy. There is no abundance, no prosperity if people do not have energy. And so we are building software at Synota that, as I said, will make energy affordable and accessible to everybody on the planet. That is our mission, and we are going to do it because we are a team with purpose. And so I want to conclude by thanking Michael. Thank you for creating this event. We would not be here without you. But also thank you for challenging the status quo continuously. I still remember when I first heard you say Bitcoin is digital energy. It really challenged my thinking around, well, what the heck is digital energy and what does this mean? But the concept behind it resonated with me and caused me to actually dig deeper into what it was we were doing as a company. And so I leave you with one today, and that is Lightning is transactive energy. And that's what we're going to build at Synota. Thank you, everyone, for your time.